עכשיו לרעיון המיוחד שקיימתי השבוע עם פרופסור אלן דרשוביץ, עם בכירי הפרקליטים בארצות הברית. האיש שייצג לאורך השנים את העשירון העליון, מאו-ג'יי סימפסון, ג'פרי אפשטיין ועד דונלד טראמפ, ומקורב לצמרת המפלגה הדמוקרטית. דרשוביץ תוקף את ממשל ביידן שהקשה על ישראל במלחמה, משוכנע שבישראל יש דיפ-סטייט, לא מבין איך בכלל בג"ץ מתערב בפיטורי ראש השב"כ, ומעביר מסר לישראל. תצטרכו לתקוף לבד, באיראן. פרקליט הצמרת עולה להתקפה, הנה. שלום.
Shalom, shalom. Welcome.
Thank you.
I wanted to show you some of my inspirations. This is obviously Israel's Declaration of Independence, 1948. This is Jabotinsky, a signed picture of Jabotinsky. This is me with Golda Meir in 1970.
הבית של פרופסור אלן דרשוביץ בלב מנהטן יכול אולי גם לשמש כמוזיאון. בכל פינה וסנטימטר בבית יש פריט היסטורי שמספר את סיפורו של דרשוביץ עצמו. פטריוט אמריקאי, פטריוט ישראלי, ציוני, יהודי בכל רמ"ח איבריו. This wall of history, it's really a reflection to your identity, the American patriot, the Zionist.
You know, look, if I were 26, I would be in Gaza today volunteering. But I'm 86, and my only weapon is the pen.
Really? Why would you go to Gaza if you were 26?
Because I would be defending Israel and helping Israel's survival.
And would you take the risk of losing your life in the battle?
Well, you know, you have to risk things to be a Jew.
וכשאנחנו אומרים שבכל פינה וסנטימטר בבית יש היסטוריה, אנחנו מתכוונים לזה, אפילו בשירותים. Let's take a look at your restrooms.
This is a letter from David Ben-Gurion about how Israel has to deal with both the religious and the non-religious. This is a letter from Herzl.
What makes you not only collect all these pieces of history, but also hang them everywhere in your house?
I want people to see history. I want people to feel history. When I come into the house and I can touch a letter that was touched by George Washington or by David Ben-Gurion, it makes me feel a part of the history that I love.
אנחנו נפגשים בביתו שבניו יורק, דירה צנועה, עמוסה פריטי אספנות מרגשים שמספרים את סיפורו של העם היהודי. כששומעים על קטעי העיתונות שהוא מסגר, המכתבים ההיסטוריים שרכש, אפשר גם להבין את העמדה המודאגת שלו ביחס לישראל. שלום פרופסור דרשוביץ.
שלום לך.
Should we be worried about an agreement between America to Iran?
Very worried. You should be very worried. President Trump wants a deal more than he wants a perfect deal. He'll probably get a deal because Iran wants a deal. The entire nuclear program has to be abolished, dismantled by the United States with the supervision of Israel. Otherwise, the only other alternative is military.
Should Israel see itself as a lone player in this situation?
Israel is always a lone player. It never can count on friends. And we must remember the words of David, Hashem ozli amo yitain, Hashem yivarech et amo b'shalom. The Jewish people will only have shalom through oz, through strength.
If we are not succeeding in getting the Libyan plan, should Israel go for a military attack, for a military operation in Iran?
I think it should, and I think it should seek the help and support of the United States, or it certainly should assure that the United States doesn't oppose it. I mean, there are three kinds of things the United States could do. It could join Israel and send B-52s and bunker-busting bombs, and that would assure the end of Iran's nuclear program. Number two, it could facilitate Israel by working with allies to make sure Israel has landing and flyover rights. And number three, it could protect Israel from a response, which it did back months ago. But the one thing it should not do is prevent Israel. If it does, the Israeli government has to do what previous Israeli governments have done, what Olmert did and what Begin did, and that is essentially say, look, The security of Israel is up to us, not you, and we have to defend it.
And act in a contradict to what President Trump wants.
It's very difficult to contradict President Trump. I know President Trump. I was his lawyer. It's a hard choice that Israel has to make. It cannot accept a bad deal with Iran, a deal that simply puts off for years the inevitability that it will develop a nuclear arsenal.
Got to be good to Gaza. Those people are suffering. We got to be good to Gaza. We're going to take care of that. There's a very big need for medicine, food and medicine, and we're taking care of it.
It should send humanitarian aid, but it should send it in a way that makes sure that it doesn't get into the hands of Hamas, and the United States should not be lecturing Israel on how to provide aid. Israel knows better than the United States about how to do it without endangering its own soldiers and civilians.
Do you think that this time, this administration gives Israel the back that it's needed in order to eliminate Hamas?
No. I think that this is one of the most unpredictable administrations. It could be very good for Israel, but Donald Trump could change on a dime. You know, in Israel, people say a pessimist is somebody who says, oy vey, things are so bad they can't get worse, and an optimist says, yes, they can. I am both. I think things can get worse with the United States and with Trump, but I also think they could get better. We're in a situation of complete unpredictability.
What did you feel during October 7th?
First of all, I couldn't believe the failures of Israel. I couldn't believe that Israel didn't have the right intelligence to prevent it. But I immediately knew that as soon as Israel showed its weakness, it would be attacked. Because when it comes to Jews, the world is bullies.
Americans are rejecting Israel's genocide.
Were you surprised from the level of anti-Semitism in the U.S.?
I was surprised. I knew there was plenty, and I knew there was plenty at American universities. I was shocked at the fact that so many Jewish kids paraded with Hamas and blamed what happened on October 7th on Israel.
But the same thing that happened to Jews 100 or 200 years ago, Jews that wanted to be a part of?
Kol dor v'dor chum l'malenu l'chalotenu, utzu etzu v'tufa dabra dava v'lo yarkam v'hi she'am dal avotenu. It's been throughout history. Jews are always the first target, and they're the easiest target at universities today because they're regarded as white and privileged and all of that.
We've heard this week from the Biden administration people that after October 7, Biden was thinking about somehow intervene in the Israeli democracy. Is this scenario sounds reasonable to you?
I have absolutely no doubt that the Biden administration, Chuck Schumer, Obama, all wanted to bring down Netanyahu. The next step would be the end of Israel, because it won't stop with the Netanyahu regime. Once the United States feels that it can influence who Israelis elect, then they will try to impose that influence over and over and over again. And I think it will make the relationship between Israel and the United States very problematic.
Is this something that can really happen?
It can. It can, and it will unless it is stopped. Right now, the trend is for the Democratic Party to become an enemy of Israel.
Do you still consider yourself Democrat?
I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm a pro-Israel, American patriot independent.
דמוקרטיה לא מתה באיזה כמה מכות חזקות. דמוקרטיה מתה בשורה של צעדים קטנים.
שינוי הרכב הוועדה לבחירת שופטים לאחר עשרות שנים הוא שינוי היסטורי והכרחי.
I'm sure that you are aware of the inside arguments in Israel between the government and the judicial system. Where do you stand on these issues?
Both sides have good points. The Israeli Supreme Court, under my dear friend and colleague Aaron Barak, may have gone a little too far in not requiring standing or cases and controversies in order for the Israeli Supreme Court to rule. There is room for some reform, but not the kind of reform that I think the Netanyahu administration has wanted. It's much too broad. And also, it was the wrong time. Israel is a deeply divided country, and the issue of judicial reform is too divisive. And it should not be debated now when Israel faces existential crises from Iran and in Gaza.
אם לא נעצור עכשיו, אני חושב שהקו האדום הבא שאותו אנחנו נעבור, זה יהיה מלחמת אזרחים.
You said that Aaron Barak is your friend. Did you ever had a chance to speak with him about it?
I have. We've spoken a number of times. You know, good friends can disagree sometimes. I think I may have introduced Aaron Barak and Benjamin Netanyahu at my 50th birthday party at Mishkanot Shananim. You know, I've known Bibi since 1970 when he was a student at MIT. I've known Aaron since 1966 when he was a student at Harvard. I regard them both as close friends, and I disagree with some of the things that each of them say.
But where do you think Aaron Barak went too far?
On the issue of standing, and he knows my view on that, I don't think anybody should have the right to bring a lawsuit against the Israeli government. I think that it should only be people who are directly involved. I don't think judicial reform is an appropriate subject for people screaming and yelling on the streets, mostly people who don't know anything about how the judiciary actually works. It's become too politicized an issue.
We have a debate now in Israel about the question if there is a deep state or there is no deep state.
Of course there's a deep state. That's not a negative thing. The deep state helps cause continuity in government.
So who is the Israeli deep state?
The bureaucracy, the people who stay in the government regardless of which party is in power.
Many Israelis view the legal advisor position as a deep state. No matter who is there, there is so much power to this position that it naturally becomes a deep state.
Well, there's a big difference between the deep state and an open group of people who are beyond partisan politics, and there should be positions in Israel that are non-partisan.
Were you aware of the debate between the government and the head of the Shin Bet, Ronen Bar?
I've been following the debate. I have tremendous respect for not only the Mossad, but the current head of Mossad, who always gives my wife cookies whenever I go visit him.
In your eyes, when it comes to the structure of this position, the head of the Shin Bet should be under the authority of the government or the Supreme Court?
Absolutely not the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court should get out of security issues, political issues. It should stick to the issue of resolving disputes between people or between the government and individuals. It should stay out of security. It should stay out of politics.
דרשוביץ הוא אחד מעורכי הדין המפורסמים בעולם. שמו נקשר במשפטים המסוכרים ביותר שהיו, מאו-ג'יי סימפסון ועד פרשת ג'פרי אפשטיין. אבל התיק שהשפיע עליו ברמה האישית היה דווקא ייצוגו של הנשיא דונלד טראמפ.
If you really feel there's a strong case, then campaign against the president. The only case that ever affected my personal life, well, two cases. One, Donald Trump. When I represented him on the floor of the Senate, I was his lawyer and I lost all of my friends. I was banned from speaking at Temple Emmanuel, the largest Reform synagogue in the United States. I was banned from speaking at the 92nd Street Y. So that was the case that most affected my life personally. I was also falsely accused by a woman in the Jeffrey Epstein case, a woman I never met, never heard of, never had any association with. She eventually admitted that she may have misidentified me, she may have confused me with somebody else. She withdrew all of her lawsuits, dropped everything. So that matter was dropped, but during a period of time, I was attacked both in Israel and in the United States. Those attacks have stopped. The woman has now committed suicide.
I won't stop fighting. I will never be silenced until these people are brought to justice.
Were you surprised that she committed suicide?
No, I wasn't surprised that she committed suicide. She was a deeply, deeply disturbed woman who was exploited by lawyers and by others around her, and she was a cash machine, a money machine for so many people, including probably her husband and others.
Is there an event in history that you think that in many ways shaped your character?
I think the establishment of Israel in 1948 helped shape my character.
You're wearing a tie with Am Yisrael Chai.
Yeah. I wear this tie since October 7th. It's amazing it hasn't fallen off yet. It says Am Yisrael Chai. And of course I wear my pin for the hostages. And this is a pin against anti-Semitism. I'm not ever ashamed to express my values and who I am.
You were there when it was established.
I was watching Israel well before it was established. When I sang Hatikva, I sang Lashuv La'eretz Avotenu, Li'yir Ba David. I didn't sing the current words, I sang the original words of Hatikva. So my Zionism goes back before the establishment of the State of Israel. I went to a very Zionist elementary school, starting at 5 years old. So we're talking about 1943, in the middle of the Shoah. I was a strong Zionist, and I've never departed from those views for the last almost 80 years.
Professor Ellen Dershowitz, thank you very much.
Toda rabah lach.
Toda.